Are you nuts? Like, why would you even leave a government secure CRA job and get into business? We were at heads with each other. I remember she didn't talk to me for a couple of months.
Immigration related pressing issues.
This whole hype about Canada has completely shut doors. Nobody is becoming a PR. It's not that.
What are the other venues that are open?
Do you understand how many people are already inside Canada? 4 million of them right now in Canada with expiring permits.
I'm in that 4 million. What should I do if I want to stay back and get my PR?
Change your skill set.
But what kind of skill set you're referring to?
Apprentice programs where you don't really need to go back to school.
What kept you still continue?
When you start hearing how you've changed somebody's life, then your perspective changes. Then your struggle is not what you're working towards, then you're more purpose driven.
Is that true?
I tell you very bluntly that, look, you don't fit into this. Rather, this is probably what you should be doing, or in some cases, you have no option, buddy.
About your mom.
The Indian diaspora wasn't really as diverse or as large as it is today. They were really trying to find their place.
How did you felt?
So I'd look at him and there would be many days that I would just bawl out crying.
Did you ever felt like, what the heck am I doing here?
A lot of times.
The first year is the hardest one for any business. Would they just openly take?
I had a lot of rejection, but there were a few that did work out, and so they're with me even until today, 10 years down the line.
For those who don't know you, tell us what's your story.
Oh, wow. Okay. I migrated along with my parents. I was 6 years old when I came to Canada. They were immigrants and they handled their whole immigration process on their own. And my respect for them increased tenfold after coming onto this side of immigration. But in any case, I graduated from York University. I went to Schulich for my undergrad. And then after graduation, I started working for the Canada Revenue Agency, so the CRA.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when my calling for law, I guess if you call it that way, that's where it all started. And I wanted to pursue law and, make that my profession moving forward. Started working towards that. Got married, soon after. And I realized maybe going to law school, like a full-fledged brick and mortar type of a setup, is probably not the right thing to do. And so I got into immigration consulting as the first step into my legal journey.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been practicing immigration law ever since. It's just entered my second decade now, my 11th year, I guess, if you can call it a second decade. But yeah, just entered that. And yeah, so that's me in a nutshell.
So technically you're second generation in Canada?
Pretty much.
So your parents came to Canada.
Yeah.
How old were you when you came here?
6 years old.
So take us back into, to your childhood. Because people like me who are first generation, we think that the second generation are like a silver spoon kids.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So take us
Let
back
me tell
to
you,
your
it's
kids.
nothing close to that. I mean, my parents were newcomers to Canada. They met with their own struggles. We saw the whole Great Depression time, the 2010s, 2008 time period when, my dad lost his job and, it was pretty rough during that time. But we first landed in Mississauga, went to school there, and then we shifted to Brampton when shortly after. So I'm a Toronto-raised kid. So I'm a B-town kid, basically. And so my childhood was pretty average. I have very strict parents. I mean, my dad is far more easier to deal with. My mom is not. Anybody that knows her, they'll agree with me. But in any case, my mom was actually in the field of immigration for very many years before she, started taking it slow. And so I've always known her to be a working mother. And so both my parents always worked. And so that, shaped up my personality in ways that I probably can't even put into words. It's actually the basis of my hustler mindset in a way, right? If I'm able to balance out my life the way I am today, it's because of my mom. And so I saw that growing up. Her balancing work, child, everything out, husband, all of that out. And so we've seen our up times, we've seen our down times, but as a family, we're very close as a unit. And so, yeah.
Any downtimes that you remember that are like, when they came to Canada and you're probably what, 6?
Yeah, I was 6. I mean, when you're 6 years old, you don't really remember a whole lot because you basically just, you just ride along, right? Basically. But I did, as far as I can remember, and as far as what my parents have reminded me of growing up, there were times when, it was hard enough for a new immigrant. Like my dad is an engineer by profession, but it was hard enough for him to actually get into the field of IT. The first few jobs that he did were not exactly his professional jobs or jobs that he was used to even, right? And so coming from Dubai, you have a whole different, you're coming from a secure type of a setup where, the company that you work for, people work for that company for years, and it's a stable, secure environment. And then they only took the step of coming to Canada only for me, right? Basically. So they didn't have to otherwise. And so after coming here, I remember, the minute discussions, as far as I can remember, between my parents, there were financial struggles, right?
Like,
there were days when, meeting rent or paying rent was a huge point of discussion as to, okay, what is the affordability this month? Are we able to, cut down? What do we compromise on this month to be able to maintain this? And, all those things, right? I mean, a newcomer struggle, typical newcomer struggle. And back then, the economy wasn't, there was a whole financial struggle, and there was also an acceptance struggle. Because back when we came to Canada, the Indian diaspora wasn't really as diverse or wasn't really as large as it is today. So the acceptance of newcomers into the society was a whole other thing to deal with for them as adults in their places of work, and for me as a child in school.
How was your experiences in school? Like, any moments that you remember, like, why the heck even my parents got me to this country?
Quite a few, especially in the beginning years. And I think quite a few in the sense, small things, right? Because in that age group, you don't really deal with large, sense of, you don't really deal with a whole bunch of bullying. At that age, everybody is more into a playful sort of a mood. But I do remember being judged on the kind of lunch that I would bring to school, because we have all these Indian type of, like, mom used to send all these like roti and like, rice.
Curries.
And, we're from South India. So like papannam and like curd rice and all that. And I used to be heavily judged on that. And so there were times when I wouldn't even open my lunch and just go home hungry because I just didn't want anybody to see what I brought to school. At that age, those are the kind of things you're dealing with.
You also mentioned, when we were talking about your mom.
Yeah.
So she became an immigrant consultant.
Yeah.
But was it right after she came to Canada, or like?
In the first few years after coming to Canada, they were really trying to find their place in the society and just trying to find jobs and just survive, right? Survival is, was the main focus or priority at the time. So I guess starting a business or getting into that, I don't even think they had that in mind. I think it was while I was growing up. It was more so when I was in my teens, right? And so that's why I remember that part of our life so clearly. So yeah, for the first few years, she wasn't into immigration. It was only after a few years.
That's actually interesting because, many first generation go through that challenge.
Yeah.
Usually, you come with a different skill set, but now you have to upgrade yourself, into something.
Yeah.
I feel like, you have a good education.
Yeah.
You got into, you said you're working for CRA.
Yeah.
Then why into business, and what inspired you to get into business? Was it your mom, or like?
It's actually quite the contrary. And this question about why would you even, like, are you nuts? Like, why would you even leave a government secure CRA job and get into business where you have no idea, how to navigate through it? So that was a question even my mom asked me, and she was against this.
She was against.
She was against me doing this, and She basically said, she suggested, she was very supportive initially until I told her I'm going to dive right into becoming an entrepreneur, leave everything behind. She was supportive until that stage, because she said, yeah, okay, so this could be like your
The
side
side
thing,
gig.
and like a side
Yeah.
gig. Yeah, it'll be nice. Like, you could. She didn't realize that I'm actually in the process of just letting go of the security and just diving right into this and becoming an entrepreneur with probably zero income in my first
Yeah.
year, right? Because you're building at that time. And so I left CRA soon after getting married, because right after getting married, I think within like a year and a half, I conceived my child, my son. And so at that time, my main thing was I didn't want to send him to a daycare or leave him in the hands of nannies. I'll tell you why. Why was that so important for me? Because I grew up with a working mom and a working dad. So there were many times in my life, and I don't have any siblings. I'm the only child. So I
You
don't
were
have a brother.
alone.
Yes. I was alone. I was waiting I used to come home, unlock the door myself, and just wait for my parents to get home. Right. And so learning to make Maggie on my own, feed myself, all those things from a very young age. I didn't want that for my son. I wanted to be there since day one and have the flexibility. So the one thing that I knew with my very little knowledge at that time is if I continue a 9 to 5 job, I'm going to have to send him to a daycare. So that was my first thing. It was as simple as that.
Yeah.
And then why immigration? It's because I already had seen my mom. So I knew that this is a territory that I probably like, because I used to see how she touched her clients' lives. I used to see people thanking her. I used to have her share, hear her share all these success stories when we're going on a drive or whatever with dad and I. And that came to my mind. I said, why reinvent the wheel? I mean, mom
Why
has already
not?
been
Yeah.
in this, so let's start with this, right? It was just about, let's start with this. Let me just try it out. Let me see. So it was all about just trying it out, testing the waters and all that. So I broke it down to my mom that I want to take this up as a profession. She was like, yeah, that's great. And she didn't realize I'm talking about leaving CRA and taking this up as a profession. And then when I told her that, I remember she didn't talk to me for a couple of months, because we
Oh
were
my
we were at
God.
heads with each other, like we were at loggerheads.
Are
She
you
was like,
crazy
"You're
doing this?
crazy, and we've worked up all of our life so that you never get into a stage of insecurity or instability, and you're our only child. I don't have the capacity to go through all the struggle that we went through, the insecurity and all those things. You have a CRA job, and you like, what is wrong with you?" And all those things. And so that's when your gut kicks in, right? So that's when I said, okay, I'm going to stick with my gut.
Mom,
I'll
aggressive your
make
gut.
it. Yeah, I'll make it. Right? I'll make it. I'll do it on my own. She wasn't supportive. Even I went through, the law school that I had to go through for getting this licensing. I went through all of that. I got my licensing. I did all of this while she was sulking. Like, she was not happy about this at all. And so I don't suggest this to anybody, but I dived right in, right? Like, I resigned from CRA even before I got the license, because I had to attend the full-time school for this. And so I did all of that. And then I got to a stage, and then even after I started my practice, she wasn't really confident about this whole thing. She kept telling me, if there's a way
You
for you
did
to go
something
back to
wrong.
CRA, like, just make the call, just go back, see if they'll take you. And because in that initial stages, you're looking for clients, you're trying to understand what is, what's working, what's not working. And this, you're not sure, you don't have the confidence. So when she would ask me questions, I wasn't really confident about a lot of things that I was doing. I was portraying that I was confident from the outside, but internally I was filled with insecurity, because
It's new.
it's new, it's an unknown territory, it's all that.
But you said you would not advise for
Yeah.
someone to dive in, and
Yeah.
you dive in.
Yeah.
Why would you say you would not advise?
Because I think in today's economy, you don't have the luxury to just dive into something without having a safety net. It's very easy for you to fail, right?
But what if I'm like you, I feel my gut feeling is, you know what? I know I got this. I'm okay to struggle for 1 year, 2 years.
Yeah, but do you have the savings to sustain for 1 to 2 years? Because in today's
Gotcha.
time, there's a lot more competition
Yep.
than 10 years ago, right? 10 years ago was pretty bad in itself, but still today it's a lot more. So if somebody is trying to, do something like this, have some sort of a safety cushion, have some sort of like a saving or something where even if you fall flat, you have time to get back up. You're not really, exposing yourself to real failure. Yeah.
So it's always good to start, preparing yourself.
Yeah.
If you're planning to leave, maybe, make sure set your ground right?
Yeah, exactly. Have the foundation right. Is this really your calling, first of all?
So
Right?
how did you felt so your gut feeling says okay, this.
Yeah.
But in that first few months, you started, your mom is still not supporting you. Did she even help you with the clients or any knowledge that she, gained over the years?
By the time I got into this, the immigration landscape was very different, right? So what she had done was very different from what was actually immigration like at the time, right? So there was a gap there, but she did do her best. I mean, obviously, there's a little bit of nepotism as well in this, right? So my mom, she had a circle. She had, a lot of people already knew her to have helped a lot of new immigrants. And so in the first year, she was sulking, she was unhappy, but she's my mom at the end of the day, right?
There is care.
So she doesn't want to see me fail. She's scared that I would fail, but she didn't want to see me fail. So she did everything that she could. And so telling her relatives or telling her circle of people, that sort of thing is what she did. A few clients, in the beginning, she was able to help me with in retaining. But for the most part, beyond that, you sort of have to do it on your own, right? Because she's not my business development representative, right? So I've got to build that and do it on my own. So I mean, she did, in a nutshell, she did.
So do you think, is it a bad thing to take that nepotism, because there is so much, around this discussion. Nepotism.
Yeah.
Now I'm talking to the person who took that, the baggage of nepotism. What are the benefits or, downsides of that?
I mean, the benefit is that there's some sort of experience that they come up with, or that they've experienced things that work, that don't work to some extent, even though the gap is too much in between in terms of their experiences and what I'm experiencing now. There would be a gap in between, but still, I mean, there's still that cushion of, okay, a generic foundational experience that can help, right? I don't really see a downside with it, right? Because if you're getting help, how can there be a downside? We aren't like celebrities where there's there's added pressure. It's not that, right? It's just, I only see the benefit in it. Yeah.
Because one downside that I see is maybe I'm pushing my daughter to do the same thing. Here was there, yours was completely opposite.
Oh, yeah.
She was pushing you away from it.
Yeah.
So in this first year, did you ever felt like, what the heck am I doing here?
A lot of times. I mean, the grass looks greener on the other side, right? But when you go to the other side, you're like, this isn't green. This is dry. This isn't green. There were a lot of times when I was self-doubting myself in terms of the knowledge that I had compared to other people that are more established. It's the wrong comparison, but you don't know any better at that time, right? You're comparing yourself to people that have already been in the profession for some time, and that sort of thing. But a lot of self-doubt, a lot of, did I even do the right thing?
I should have listened to my mom.
I should have listened to my mom, but not telling her, not admitting it. And then, a lot of contemplation on, should I call CRA back? Like, should I reach out to the HR again? And should I just go back to what I knew was already working, and, all that? A lot of that happened. Yeah.
But what kept you still continue? Because, the first year is I feel like the hardest one for any business.
Yeah.
Few people have that strong, okay, you know what? Frick it.
Yeah.
Fake it until make it.
I think the main thing, the main aspect was my son, right? He was a baby. So I'd look at him and I'd say, okay, if I went back to CRA, if I went back to any 9-to-5 job for that matter, I'd have to leave this guy with somebody else. And so I'd look at him, and there would be many days that I would like just bawl out crying.
So it reminds you of your lonely times.
Yeah, it
your
reminds me of my lonely times. Not just that, but just the fear. At that time, it's not about my lonely times or anything. It's about the mother instinct, the you know, the what do you call that? The very animal instinct of being protective about your baby, right? I'm like, if I send this guy to a daycare, all my experiences came up where I used to walk back alone. And, you know, if there were instances where somebody was following me or something, I wouldn't have anybody to protect me, and I would run back into my into my building, or, you know, small things like that, right? And so I would imagine all those things with my baby, and I'm like, no, I've got to fight. So it was my son.
You know, you would say that it's a small thing, but trust me, those childhood things that happen to us, those are kind of without knowingly shaping our life.
Oh no, very consciously. I don't think it's unconsciously. I think it's consciously in a lot of sense, right? Because your childhood traumas are what your personality is based on as you grow older. Because I think the foundation of your mindset comes from your childhood.
Yeah.
Right? And then you build on it as you go. Depending on the profession that you enter or whatever, life teaches you a lot more things, but the foundation is from your childhood. So a lot of those things that I still remember, the fact that I'm remembering all these things until today, it means it really affected me, right? It really, those were important things, lessons that I learned in my life. And so when I would look at my son, and I would be like, no, I can't do this. This is do or die. Like,
it makes sense as a mom, you know.
I'm already in this. Now let's see through this. I'm not. And the other thing about me is when you're a single child, you have your survival mode kicks in a lot more than when you are in a multiple children household. Because you have elder siblings to lean on for anything. You don't have nobody to lean on.
Oh, so you're independent.
Extremely independent, and heavily guarded. Because you learn to defend yourself. You learn to walk alone. You learn a lot of things by yourself.
This ideology I want to understand, because, you know, a lot of people don't have that clear path. That's why they go into, you know, maybe just they live the normal life, even though they have something deep inside. Or, you know, you also could say, okay, you know what? Now I have a decent living. I could just pause it here and just go normal. Versus some people will keep going because I keep on seeing your name. What do you think the difference in the mindset of these two people who just go in the dark versus who keep on shining?
I think it's your will inside. It's your passion, and it's also your parental values. Your parental values, your purpose in life, your hustler mindset. Do you have it in you?
So it's natural to have a hustler mindset?
No, you build it.
So what do you mean by parental, you know?
For example, I think you briefly touched upon this. So that's where the parental aspect comes in, right? So growing up in high school, right? That's when it's really tough for most of us, right? We're in teenage.
Yeah.
We're very vulnerable at that stage. You want to fit in.
Yeah.
So everything that you've learned, you're challenging all that. And you're saying, my parents don't know anything. Like, they're just old school, all that. So it's very easy for one to waver from your foundation to a whole different path. You can get knocked off to a different side of life, right?
Yeah.
What brings you back, or what brought me back, is the fact that my parents maintained, they were working professionals, both of them. But the one thing that they maintained is the close-knit family, right? So my parents growing up, they didn't have a lot of friends. I was their friend.
Okay.
So anything that they would discuss as parents, their sorrows, their happiness, everything, I was a part of. They would discuss in front of me.
So they never excluded you from...
No. I was there in pretty much every single conversation. My parents got married in 89. I was born in 89 December. They got married in February. I was born in December. So I've always been a part of their life. And so they never focused on having a large friend circle. I don't even remember having my parents ever inviting people home, very rarely. Like parties and all that, there was no concept of that in my household. It was always about, even if they had 5 minutes, they would spend that with me. And it was always about all three of us, just wherever we go. We had money, we didn't have money, whatever the struggle is, whatever it is, I knew each and everything, and I was a part of everything from like a very young age.
You bring up really important thing that I want to discuss. Should we let our kids know this sad side of ours, or the challenges that we are going through, or we should just hide? You went through, you saw them, everything, fighting, struggles, financial, good things.
Yeah.
But I see, right now, because I am surrounded with a lot of, young families, because, I have 3 years old. Many of my friends have 2 years, 5 years, 8 years, 6 years. They tend to not show off anything in front of the kid, especially the struggles, the fights. They just want the kid to have a bright, like only good side. Do you think it's a good thing, or they should rewire the change, make some changes to it?
I don't think it's a good thing. And if it's one thing that I like about what my parents did, their style of parenting, is this very aspect. The fact that I'm attached to them like this until today. I mean, anything that okay, let me put it this way. When I was young, it was about listening to their sorrows and their, triumphs and all that. Today, it's the other way around. They are my friends. I don't have a large friend circle. You don't see me partying. I don't have a large friend circle. I barely have any friends. I have a very large business network. But in terms of my close-knit, I don't need anybody else. My parents are my friends. Like, they literally know every single thing that happens in my life, probably even more than my husband, which he doesn't like. But anyways, that's a whole other concept.
No, I mean, again, this is something really important. Like you built your close net.
Yeah.
Only these people can shook your, mindset.
Yeah.
And business network, whoever in the business have to have that, business network, no matter what, because they are not going to impact your belief system. Yeah. But this close net can impact your belief system. Oh, good. It's really interesting to know that side of, because for me, the other way around, I really don't know my parents. So that's complete.
The other way. And the other thing I'd like to add to this about why I support this kind of parenting is because you get an exposure to life and the real life and real situations that adults may face.
So when you have challenges in the business,
you sort of, you then think, okay, I remember mom in this situation, or I remember dad telling mom this. What did they do? You go back to those things, right? And so that foundation helps you. You have an example of what needs to be done.
You don't freak out that easily.
You don't freak out that easily.
Because, if you haven't seen the obstacles, one obstacle can shook you.
It can shake you really bad, right? I mean, but if you know all the obstacles that your parents have gone through, you know exactly how they came out of it, then you'll apply the same thing.
Yeah.
It may work, it may
or
not.
At least
make
you
tweaks.
make your brain don't freak out. You're like, okay, challenges are common.
Yeah.
That's the thing that I believe in too.
Yeah.
Even though I did not grow up with my parents, but I have seen their struggles through the phone, through situations, like, to their hardship of paying my fees.
Yeah.
My dad was in Dubai as a laborer, for years. So seeing that difficulties, if you know that challenges will come and how you face them, then you won't freak out.
Because what'll happen is when you're growing up, you won't know any miseries. And when you hit the adulthood where you have to face the world on your own, you have no idea how to do that. You only know that you get everything that you want. Your parents' house is your safety net. So you never really, that hustler mindset or the survival instinct will never develop in you.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
So until this first year, you're, coming out, like, did you make any money in the first year?
Some.
Was it enough for living?
No, probably broke me even to the amount of spending that I had to do to get to, establishing everything. Because everything from a case management software to buying a Gmail professional account, you're only incurring expenses in your first year.
So there's a lot of expenses that people don't see it.
Yeah.
And so just fast forward 11 years, how many clients do you think you would have helped?
Oh, geez. I haven't counted, but in the thousands.
Thousands.
Yeah.
If I ask you straight, Rashmi, what's your power? What is your uniqueness that got you here? And now I see your name a lot more. What is that thing that you feel about you that differentiate you from your competitors?
I don't want to talk about competition or how it makes me better than somebody. I think without that, I think what made me stay is what I want to focus on more.
Love it.
I think the fact that I'm compassionate, yet I know where to put my foot down with a lot of things today, more so than when I first started out. I think that I'm just real. I think what most of my clients tell me is that you give it to us like it is. I don't sugarcoat things for people.
A lot of things that I want to get into now. The visas, the type of visas you get for your clients, the type of process you suggest your clients to take to get to that PR status, or to get to that, if someone watching from India, they want to get a PR, or, they want to get a work permit, or the student who is struggling here, how to plan securely to have that PR. I speak to a lot of immigration consultants because a lot of people DM me on Instagram. But you're the only person who went into a lot of new ideas, not general public speaks. So I think you're smart in your area. That's what I think. But so coming to the immigration side of it. So when did you first got the breakthrough? When did you felt like, okay, this is working for me?
2 years into my business. Because 2 years into my business, I got my first home. That's when I'm like, okay, this is working. I did something positive. Yeah.
But so in terms of numbers, you were able to replace your salary in 2 years?
I wouldn't say I was able to replace my salary because I stopped comparing this new type of employment or this new professional phase of my life to the previous one. The previous one was a 9 to 5, every 2 weeks, same paycheck, sort of a secure space. By this time, with all the hustle, I had started liking what I was doing. And with the first few successes, when you start hearing how you've changed somebody's life, then your perspective changes. Then your struggle is not what you're working towards. Then your purpose, you're more purpose driven, right? So although there was the survival instinct, I started thinking, I like this. Like, this is making me feel good, right? Like, I'm actually changing people's lives, right? So let me do this more.
You're making impact.
Yeah, it's impactful what I'm doing. I'm actually doing something that matters in this world, right? And so then it became purpose-driven. And that purpose-driven created more ideas in, okay, who can I collaborate with? Can I collaborate with other maybe smaller consultants who are not licensed? Maybe they have the clients who they can refer to me. Things like that, all the things that we typically do.
So you collaborate with other consultants too?
Local ones in different areas. I mean, just to fast forward to today's life, we have multiple branches across the globe, right? So everywhere from South Africa, Johannesburg, to Singapore, to Dubai.
How many branches do you have?
Johannesburg, Sri Lanka, India, I have 2, one in Punjab, one in Hyderabad, Singapore, and USA. So I have 6 branches.
Wow. And continue. You were saying something else.
Yeah. So then you start creating new ideas and you start collaborating with new people and all of that. And then, slowly you get into the you see the potential. You see, okay, now like this is working. Like this was good.
Now you're addicted.
Yeah, and then I would talk to my mom, and then by that time, when my mom saw me first buy my first home, and all of that, then she was convinced. She was like, yeah, like this is this. She can probably make it. She wasn't really openly saying it, but she was a bit more relaxed
Quietly.
with the whole thing. And then she started, telling her friends that, like we have a immigration law firm. It became from she to we. So that's when I knew
That's
my
a
mom
good
had
progress.
accepted what I was doing. Because buying a house was very important to me. It sounds like a simple thing, but growing up, my parents didn't own a home for a very long time. Well into their 40s.
Wow.
Yeah, I think they owned their first home a few years of struggle after coming to Canada, right? So we were always in rented spaces. And so, again, going back to childhood trauma,
Yeah.
buying a house was very, very important for me because I wanted to raise my child in
My
a
home.
permanent home. And so my husband at the time, he said, okay, why don't we rent for a few more years? Like we just got married and this and that. I was the force behind it. I said, no, like
I want the house.
my son, like I'm already late. My son should have been born in a house that we own. Like, come on, let's go fast, right?
So you're that.
Yeah. So he wasn't really too happy about it. He said he's the type of person who likes to have the full calculation and be very strategic and, be very safe and play it safe.
The introvert personality.
Yeah, extremely. And I'm the risk taker.
Yeah.
I'm like,
I think every
let's
family
do it.
has that.
Yeah. I am that in this family. And so I bought the first house. I didn't even tell him that I was doing it. I bought the first house and I took him for the closing and I said, okay, like, this is what
our
I'm
home.
I'm doing it.
Yeah.
Like whether you like it or not, you're married to me. Like we can, there's no way for you to back out. You're in this with me. We're locked in. Now what I do will have to be what it is. And so I did it. It was a small house, but that's where it all
So
started.
that's when your mom started to accept, and then you started
Yeah.
to feel more confident.
Yeah. But while all of this, my dad was extremely supportive of everything. I mean, I remember when I first started my first year, there were times when I didn't have the, for licensing, you have to pay for your licensing fees and that. My first year licensing fees, my dad paid.
So he was supportive, not just financially,
Yeah.
but also like morally too.
Yeah. He's like my pillar. I mean, more than my mom is like my moral grounding, and she's like the go-to even for my dad. Like we both are heavily reliant on her emotionally and every which way. She's the pillar, but my dad is my safe space.
Yeah, I think that's with the daughter and dad always the case. So just back into the business, now you got your home,
Yeah.
and you have business going well.
Yeah.
Where were you getting all your clients?
Word of mouth, because in my first year, luckily, during that time, the processing time was pretty fast. Okay, and the scores were relatively low, and so we were seeing successes much faster than definitely today, but even a few years ago. And so the first set of clients were successful, and so the word of mouth had started. So that was one avenue. And then my collaborations. Like today, I have actual offices in all these places, but at that time, I was just working with local agents.
Okay, gotcha.
That's how I started. Because you don't suddenly just set up an office, right? You
Yeah.
don't, like, you need to have some grounding
Correct.
some success or some sort of a network there. And so that's when I had built my network.
So you
Started building
reached
my
out to
network.
them,
Yeah. It was literally cold calling. A lot of these
cold
people
calling.
cold calling. Yeah.
But would they just openly take, because you're still new in the game, would they trust you?
I had a lot of rejection, but there were a few that did work out. And so they're with me even until today, 10 years down the line.
How would you even pitch them?
The sales aspect of my personality was built during my university time when I worked for Rogers as a sales consultant
Oh, so
on
you
the
were-
phone, inbound calling.
Oh, wow. So you used to take a lot,
Yeah.
probably.
I started working when I was 16 years old because my mom refused to buy me a new bag every single year, school
Okay.
bag. And she said, you're not going to get it easy. You know that, right? Like you've got to hustle for your own. We don't have that kind of money.
Is it because she don't have money, or she didn't wanted you?
She pretended like she didn't have the money. She was buying gold and all those things for my, preparing for my future. But she was keeping all that away from, like, she was pretending that I've got to make it on my own. Like, I'm not going to get nothing in a platter.
Maybe she's also an entrepreneur, so she wanted her daughter to go through that process.
So my first job was pizza. She came with me for my interview. So she took me to all these different places. Then I worked at Tim Hortons as well, but I didn't like it, so I went to pizza. It was easier. But yeah.
So those calls taught you how to reach out to your...
So throughout my university, all 4 years, I worked for Rogers. I never worked in the store, but I was more on the phone. So a lot of my communication skills built from there, because when you work for customer service, that, they really drill customer service into you, right?
Yeah.
And so there was a side of sales in that as well. There was a portion of my salary which was commission based. And so there was targets and all that. So that's where my sales side of personality sort of developed. And now, and that became useful for me, not in CRA as much, but when I started my own business, because I needed that aspect. I needed that personality to come out.
Because at the end, every entrepreneur has to be a salesperson.
Yeah, it's sales. At the end of the day, you're building your business, legal or real estate, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But you need... nobody knows you. Nobody's going to walk through your door, the way that they would in the 11th year, right? In the first year, you're knocking people's doors. Yeah.
So one avenue was your word of mouth. Another avenue, probably mom.
Yeah.
Another avenue is you're building this connections.
Yeah.
Where else did you started to build your business coming in?
I mean, all of this together, and then word of mouth became my biggest source of income, right? Basically. Like even today, I mean, the fact that I was telling you off camera that I only started content creation this year is because I realized I'm too behind. Like I need to have an Instagram page, for God's sake. It's 2025. But even today, 90 to 95% of my entire business is all word of mouth.
I can see if 95% business is word of mouth, the person has to have really something unique about their approach.
I think my main USP is that I give it to you straight, right? I tell you very bluntly that, look, you don't fit into this. Rather, this is probably what you should be doing. Or in some cases, you have no option, buddy. Unfortunately, you have no option, right? There's nothing I can do for you at this time. That is happening more so in today's time than ever before. There are going to be people that we cannot help.
Yeah, that's actually very powerful, because I believe in the exact same formula. No matter what person comes with what they have in mind, if I feel like it's not the right fit, what they're looking for, they have to look at in this direction, I would not hesitate to. And if you do, then probably you're doing injustice.
Exactly, right? You're just thinking about yourself, which may make you the money today, but in the long term, people are going to see through that bullcrap, right? People are going to see that she's just in it for herself, right? Whereas if you prove them wrong and they are cooperative enough, or they understand enough, they're mature enough to understand, okay, it's not... They trust enough to understand that, okay, she's the right person. I've come to her through a referral. Let me go with what she's saying. And that strategy clicks. He's going to tell 10 more people.
Yeah.
So that's what my business is based on.
Many people worry about like, okay, I have 5 people. I only have 5 people to work with.
Yeah.
But make that 5 people really get what they're looking for.
Yeah.
Because in your case, it's the services, the immigration services. If you get them what they're looking for, automatically they're going to bring more business.
Yeah.
Only very, very less businesses in this DNA says that they have 95% word of mouth. That's a huge one.
Yeah.
So now I want to gear towards some immigration related pressing issues, because there is a lot of pressing issues.
Oh, yes.
Are there people coming to Canada anymore?
Absolutely. I mean, if you look at the quota for this year, we've already surpassed that quota. I'm talking just for PR holders.
Yeah.
Now we're working towards the quota for 2026.
So surplus means whatever Canada set certain number of PR holders they're going to take. Yeah. They already took more than that.
Yeah, technically, right? Because some of the provinces in the recent times, they've had to increase their quotas because they have more qualified people than the quota that they had set up, which means that there's more available in the market than the quota that's set by the federal government, which means that we've surpassed already. They've already approved more than, I'll give you an example, just in temporary foreign workers, the quota for this year was, I think, 82 or 85,000, somewhere in the
in that range.
80, in the low 80s to mid 80s. We've already approved, Canada has already approved 105,000
Got you.
permits. And that's just one type of an application in Canada, right? And so all the other areas included. So this whole hype about Canada has completely shut doors, nobody is becoming a PR. It's not that. It's the top 1%. It's the cream de la cream of people that will make it to their permanent residence goal.
So there is still X amount of people coming.
Absolutely.
How would I know how many people the Canada is taking in this year?
You know, when you say X amount of people coming, it depends from where. Are you talking about becoming PRs within Canada, or are you talking about people coming from outside Canada?
So I'm talking about outside Canada. So because, right now, one of the biggest concern right now in the real estate industry is there is not many immigrants.
Yeah.
Not many home buyers, not many renters. And Canada is making it difficult because I'm talking about news. News is Canada is not taking immigrants anymore. Is that true? Or what kind of numbers compared to last year?
Oh, no, absolutely not. I mean, it's definitely reduced from last year, right?
What
Especially
kind of
students.
Got you.
The international students landscape is entirely different now. We are seeing that Conestoga is the most recent college that's on the verge of applying for bankruptcy. All that is happening for a reason. Seneca has already done that. So for the international students, I think it's entirely different compared to last year. But if you talk about immigrants coming to Canada, I mean, absolutely, there are a whole bunch of immigrants still coming to Canada, but the difference is that in the last couple of years, there was still scope for people to migrate to Canada on a PR directly from their home country.
Okay.
Whereas in today's time, that's not a reality.
Got you.
With the scores being so high, forget about the scores being so high, the program itself that allows them to become a PR, the foundational program, which is the Federal Skilled Worker Program, the FSWP, under Express Entry, that's pretty much on hold or suspended for now. I don't think there was a draw since last year or something, a very long time.
Yeah.
Right? So that program itself is on hold, which means that the scope of people becoming PRs and landing in Canada as a permanent resident holder, that is drastically changed.
So that means technically Canada shut down the doors.
Not necessarily.
So what are the other venues that are open?
Do you understand how many people are already inside Canada who are already in the door trying to become permanent residents? Just temporary work permit holders, there's 4 million of them.
4 million.
4 million of them right now in Canada with expiring permits.
Do you think with the tighten up situation, those 4 million will go back?
A lot of them will. And we're already seeing a lot of people going back.
Maybe I'll ask you this question. I'm in that 4 million. What should I do if I want to stay back and get my PR?
Be ahead of the curve and change your skill set to something that's actually going to benefit Canada in today's time, where they'd be interested in making you a permanent resident, right?
But isn't it too hard to change my whole skill set? And even if let's say if I'm open to, but what kind of skill set you're referring to?
Like short-term courses. You don't have to go back to like a full-time brick and mortar type of a setup to go back to school and start becoming a student again. I'm not talking about that. If you are an open work permit after, graduation, change in skill set could mean something like maybe taking up a short-term pharmacy assistant course.
Okay.
Right? So now you have education, because based on that education and the huge demand that there is, a pharmacy is bound to hire you. If not in the same city that you are in, maybe in some other city, some other province, doesn't matter. You have an open work permit. You can go anywhere, right?
So what are those high demand jobs that I can take a course and get those jobs? And those jobs would help me for PR.
Right off the top of my head, I can think of two.
Okay.
Childcare. Right? Childcare. ECA, which is Early Childhood Educator Assistance, not educator. That's a long-term program. Those programs you can find for under 6 months. That could be really good for girls or women, right?
Yeah.
Or even men, for that matter. It doesn't matter.
Yeah,
It's
childcare,
not
anyone
gender
can care.
specific.
I mean,
Exactly.
if you care enough for the kids.
If you like babies, then yeah, why not, right? Secondly, pharmacy assistant, right? A pharmacy assistant course is also a short-term course. You can do something like that, perhaps, right? To change your trajectory.
And you're mentioning about trades before off the camera.
Yeah.
You know, those like construction trades and all those things.
Yeah.
To get into those trades, is it like 6 months course, 1 year course, or what kind of?
You don't really need to do a course. Trades is such a field where some of those trades have apprentice programs where you don't really need to go back to school. It's not exactly a school setup. It's practical training, right? So, for example, a mechanic, right? There's a mechanic who needs to have a regulation by Red Seal or whatever. And then there is an apprentice mechanic who's equally in demand. It's the same exact knock code. So
Gotcha.
you would equally be, as much in demand as the mechanic, but you're registered in an apprentice program, and so you find a qualified employer that can support you in this practical experience that you need to gain. So things like that, right? So you need to look for creative opportunities like this, and these are the people that will be a part of the top 1% who eventually will end up getting the PR.
So there's still ways to become a permanent resident.
Absolutely.
But it's just you should not look at what everyone else looking. Just get the express entry points, get the IELTS, wait until.
No, that's not the if you have that mindset, you're just going to pass your time in Canada and then you're going to eventually have to pack your bags and leave.
Let's say, I'm worried. I'm one of this 4 million. I have a lot of dreams and I love the country. I want to be here. When should I start planning my PR? And how can I plan it? And who can help me with that?
You're talking about people that are already in Canada?
In Canada.
Okay, so if you're already in Canada, you're probably here on the basis of education, I suppose, right? So while you're in school, right, instead of waiting for yourself to graduate and then, put it off for later, face that, accept that situation, face the reality, which is that you need to start planning right when you're in school. Your first day of classes is probably when you need to start planning for your PR in today's time, right? So the course that you're taking right now, that got you into the door, but is that really a good course for you? Is that really going to end you up in a PR? Is there a change in a transfer in college that you can probably opt for, go to a rural place perhaps?
Okay.
Right? So a lot of things. So you start planning towards your PR, right? Assuming that you're in the perfect place, start getting the consultation, a paid consultation. And I'm saying paid in capital letters because when you start expecting something free, a free service, you're bound to get mediocre, probably mediocre advice, unless somebody is doing it for, somebody is doing it. For example, I have a Sunday consultation, right? I spend 2 hours on Sundays with students, right? That's free.
Yeah.
But I'm doing something else the rest of the week. Yes, it's general. You're getting very
generic information.
Very generic information because each of those students only get about 10 minutes with me. Whereas somebody who pays gets about 45 minutes to an hour. You don't have to trust what you're getting. You spend $500 on yourself, right? Instead of eating outside or whatever, you spend this money on yourself. Go to 5 different law firms. Get their general opinion. Whoever your trust is built with, go with them.
And you briefly also mentioned about something about US happening in US and how people are coming to Canada.
Oh, wow. That's a whole interesting other topic. I mean, in the US, I guess the most recent happening news is that for any new H-1B holders, you now have to come up with $100,000 USD dollars, right? I mean, that's crazy. And that's there for a reason, right? They're trying to,
again, same thing,
whatever the reasons are, cut down on immigration or focus on US citizens first or whatever it is, whatever the reasons are. Now, all those people that have spent thousands of dollars in the US to go for masters or in some cases bachelors even or whatever, all of them all of a sudden have no door.
Yeah, they are dried out. They cannot spend that 100,000.
They have nothing to look forward to, right? Once they graduate. So a lot of them have started to lose motivation to even study during
That time.
their education because you don't see any outcome of this. You don't
There's no
see any
future.
fruitful or exactly. You don't see any future. You don't see any, what are you going to do? Right?
Obviously, you lose motivation to
You
work.
lose motivation. Yeah. So a lot of those people are now sort of flocking towards Canada and thinking that Canada is the next easy this thing. Now, let me tell you, that is not the case. Canada is very, very strict now. It's hard to get into the door. People that are already in Canada, it's hard enough for them to survive in Canada and, get their permanent residence. So it's not the case. But there are still options. Like I was talking about previously for one of our clients, the most recent success story in business migration that I was talking about. There are programs like the entrepreneur visa that you can navigate to or pivot to maybe find a future in Canada, perhaps.
One, they have a future business setup, visas.
Yeah.
LMIS is another one.
Yeah.
Does LMIS still exist?
Absolutely.
For the right positions?
Yeah.
And you were mentioning something that other than LMIA, what was that? Like, different employers.
Absolutely. So that's basically intra-company transfer, right? That's where an expertise of a legal professional should be accounted for or considered in the inception stages, because the way you set up your franchises, if you have a branch here, for example, Win City, right? If you have a branch here, and you're eventually looking to move people amongst your branches and not hire external people as much, but move around your own,
Offices.
move around your human capital, right, within your branches, then you would approach somebody like me and basically ask for help in setting up those different franchises in the right way from day one so that you're in a position to move people around.
So there is still options, in short.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay. So, that's great information so far. And let's switch the gears to a little bit of a game.
Okay.
But
Wow.
not a fun one.
Oh, wow.
It's a serious one.
Okay.
We call it 90-12 play.
Okay.
So we want you to assume that there's a person who has $10,000 in hand and some consulting skills, want to set up a successful business in next 12 months. So what would be your 90 days plan for them to succeed, get the results that they're looking for in 12 months?
Well, I would first, in the first month or even in the first week or two, I would just sit down with myself and contemplate on what type of consulting is my calling, right? Not what's hot in the market, but what is my calling? Because that is what is going to help you sustain long term, right? And so that's where I would start my research, not just research, but also do some self-evaluation. Once I've zeroed down on the type of consulting service that I want to focus on, the next thing would be, okay, what do I need? What are my resources that I need to? What do I need to even build this? Right? Do I have the necessary skills? Do I have to probably do some extra courses or whatever it is? How much is the money that I need to even start all of this? Sustainability, like a business plan. You basically make a business plan, right? And then what is my sustainability? How do I have enough savings to be able to sustain myself if I make nothing in my first year? Right? So all of this is what I would do in the first month. And the second month is when I would really look into I guess this in itself should take about 3 months, because all you building your business plan and figuring things out, getting to a stage of, okay, I'm ready to open doors now. Getting to that stage will take a lot more than 3 months. But for the sake of this game, I think the whole 3 months will just go into R&D for that matter.
One last thing is a rapid round.
Oh, wow. There's a rapid fire too.
Yes.
Okay.
Hard one, but logical. Contract or trust? Which one comes first?
Trust.
What do you think is more important, impact or income?
Impact. Because that'll generate the income. That'll be the byproduct.
Lovely. One myth about success you wish people should drop.
That once you achieve it, you've arrived. I think the real success is how long you retain that success.
Any one of your favorite book that helped you to achieve the success you have?
I'm not, believe it or not, I'm not much of a reader. I'm more of a watcher, right? So I retain more with noticing people. Like I retain more with that. And so in terms of reading, I think the best book that I have learned that has not helped me understand business or how to do business, not in that sense, but set up the ground models or all of that straight, is probably I would start with the Bhagavad Gita.
If an immigrant in Canada is doubting their every decision, what should they remember?
Faith.
So we have one last thing.
Oh, wow, there's more. Okay.
So one last thing.
Okay.
Rapid round is over, but we want you to give one question for our next guest.
Okay.
And we have one question from the last guest that
Okay.
we want you to answer.
Okay.
So, question from our last guest is, what did it take you to keep yourself motivated to keep going when there is, boredom, or when there is like you have achieved a decent amount of success in life, or when you come across challenges? What keeps you going now?
To find the next motivation. And the way that I do that is by watching a lot of people around me, and also thankfully thanks to YouTube, watching a lot of people that are far more successful than I am. What is keeping them going? What is their body language? What should my next goal be? And basically ground myself, saying, okay, this you've not arrived anywhere, like you've just taken your first step. Let's go, like keeping myself grounded.
Lovely. So, what would be your question for our next guest?
Wow. Okay. If there was one thing that they would do differently in their journey to success, what would that be?
Lovely. So, with that, thank you so much, Andy. See you on
Thank
the
you
next
so
one.
much for having me. It was a great discussion, and you really drained my soul out today, which I didn't imagine, but this was great. Thank you so much.
Thank you. See you on the next one.